Hi, everybody, and welcome. It is so nice to have you here. I am Matt with K15T, and we are going to be exploring some new AI experiences in Confluence. I am very excited about this. I'm looking at the live chat. Y'all are all over the place already. Some people are excited about AI. Some people are scared of AI. Some people are like, we'll never use AI at work. I'm loving this so much. We have a lot to talk about. So buckle up, get ready. It's going to be a good time. But first, a couple of important things to know. First of all, if you have questions at all throughout the live stream, throw hashtag question in the live chat and then your question. That just helps me pick them out of the chat. We do not have Mixmaster Stefan with us this month because he had the audacity to go on vacation. So help me, help you, help us by adding hashtag question to all of your questions. Also, if you would hit that like button in YouTube, that would be great. It tells the algorithm that we're doing stuff here. So please like this. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. We have a lot of great content coming out every month with more coming soon. So please hit that like and subscribe button. We are going to jump into things now because I know you're all hungry for some new AI experiences. But of course, I'm not alone. Why would I do that? Why would I host my own live stream alone when I could bring in an expert? So I'd like to welcome to the stage John Hooper, head of all AI things in the entirety of Confluence. Isn't that your title now, John?
I think that's exactly my title, yeah. Good to be here.
It's great to have you, John. First of all, like, just a very, very important question. Did she like it, and did she put a ring on it, John?
She did. She
All
made it
right.
official a few weeks ago.
Oh my
It's
God.
real.
For the first time ever on the live stream, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else, I'd like to introduce Mr. John Hooper, who just got married and added a new dog to the family. John, it's so great to have you here. Congratulations for all the life changes.
All the big things are happening. It's a good time.
Yeah, I wanted to say, just like on behalf of the audience here, we're all a little disappointed that you're not solely kind of in a relationship with Confluence. We kind of thought it had all your attention and time. So this is a bit of a letdown for some of us.
I mean, it already got complicated by introducing Rovo to the picture. I mean, it's
It's
tough.
true. It's true. It's all right. John's seen Rovo and Confluence, newly married, new dog. John can handle this. All right. He's a multifaceted person, everyone. Calm down. John, I'm gonna make you a little louder because people are asking for that. And I love that for them.
Sounds good.
John, there's so much we can talk about, but I think the thing that everybody wants to know about is audio briefings. Can you tell us a little bit more about audio briefings and sort of like, what are we looking at with these things? What is this? Why is this? How is this? Tell us everything about audio briefings, please.
Yeah. Wow, I don't even know where to start. So what I would say with audio briefings is that one of the exciting things for us with all this new technology happening through AI is that there are new things that are possible that just weren't before. And so one of the things that we really wanted to dive into with this being the first foray into using AI audio in Confluence and across Atlassian is I don't know if everyone is in the same position that we're in, but I get so much content sent to me on a daily basis. You know, whether part of it, I probably subscribe to too many newsletters to keep in touch about AI, but that's another story. But just the internal stuff, you know, whether it's the things that are being sent to me directly, whether it's the things that are being sent to a Slack channel that I should be staying on top of, whether it's my own personal research that I'm doing to just make sure I'm aware of things outside my orbit that could be interesting or helpful. There's just so much content to try to get through on a daily basis. And so one of the ways that we are trying to make that easier and more flexible is by bringing in a new modality of audio in terms of how you consume content in Confluence for now. And the thought there being that, first off, we realize that there are a very sizable number of our user base, a sizable portion of our user base that simply just prefer to listen to information as opposed to having to read it all the time. So providing that flexibility is one point that I think we want to just help straight off the bat. But also sometimes, especially at the end of the day, maybe you've read many, many Confluence pages and your eyes are starting to get tired, and it would be nice to just give them a break. So whether it's that or also taking a very large amount of information and being able to consolidate it into something that's a little bit more, a little bit smaller, a little bit more manageable. It's nice, I think, at times to have an option of like, hey, I could read this page, but why don't I listen to a quick little briefing about it instead?
Okay, so first of all, I love, you get points for using the word modality, John. That's really excellent. I I think this is so practical because one of the things that I notice right now with AI experiences is, and we've all gone through different trends of this, right? If you lived back in the day of like internet messengers, when those first came out, there were how many different online messaging, services, AM, IRC, ICQ, Yahoo, like everybody was making these things and then they kind of consolidated. And then we kind of have the same sort of thing with, social media platforms and stuff. I feel like we're sort of there with some AI experiences where you're just like, it's everywhere and I don't know how to get to all of it and I don't know how to use it. And I feel like audio briefings, it's like such a like, oh, I kind of know what this thing is sort of feature. And that's why it's very exciting to me. And I think it's great for accessibility and it's great for just like doing what AI does so well, helping us do what we do better, and then also like summarizing information. So can you show us some of this loveliness, John? We'd love to see
Yeah,
it.
sure thing. And I totally agree with what you're talking about. I think that's one of the goals that we had is for this to be something that's more familiar in terms of mental model. I think that there's a learning curve for all of us that we're going through of how do we actually incorporate these AI features, new technologies into our workflows. And this hopefully is easy. So the demo is pretty quick. Basically, what you do is if you're on a page, it could be a published page, it could be a blog, it could be a live doc. Shout out to live docs, I'm loving those. That you see something, it's like cool. Actually, this is a page I picked in particular because I want to go into more detail about some of the other AI technology that we're working on in the conversation today. But so one thing that I've really liked from the AI team overall here at Atlassian is the work that we've done on using Loom to create meeting notes automatically. But just to be honest, I get a lot of those every day and it's more reading. I like to read, but there's so much reading I do nowadays. So to me, this is one of my favorite use cases for audio briefings, where instead of reading a bunch of notes about the meeting that I either went to or didn't attend, I'll finally get to the demo now. What I can do is I can click on this entry point right here, this little headphone icon that we have that is in the new action bar. And I say, listen to briefing. And that pops up our modal here for playing the briefing. And then I click play. And there is more that you can do in terms of customizing what the generated script, we can go more into this stuff in a bit around like, you can see how does it sound, how long is the audio. We can manually add more sources, but I think the really simple way to put this is you open it up and you click play and you can listen to a briefing. Should I hit play?
Yeah, do it, John. We're on the edge of our seats.
Let's do it. Okay.
All right.
The recent blog post review on March 21st, 2025, focused on refining content and ensuring readiness for publication. Key participants included Brittany Soinski and Robert Brunson Zimmerman, who discussed final adjustments to the blog's messaging and debated the most effective call to action, CTA, placement.
So I'm sure we could listen to the whole thing. I don't know how much you want to play, but I think that's a good example of it.
Okay, that was really... So first of all, it nailed the pronunciation of people's names, which is like brilliant because sometimes it's so bad, like human beings, we can't get each other's names correct, which is not ideal. Were you scrolling on the page while it was talking or was it doing that?
Oh, that's such an interesting question.
Yeah.
I was scrolling,
Okay.
but that
Okay.
is something that we're intrigued by. I could talk about this for hours, so let me know when you want me to stop. But I think what's so interesting is that um, we learned a lot about how people learn when we were doing the research to build this. And one of the things that we heard often is that people, I'll use that word again, like to learn multimodally. So in addition to hearing about the content, they wanted to read it simultaneously. And in some cases, they wanted to be able to, basically follow along with the narration word for word. But
Hmm.
in other ways, people wanted to have almost two different feeds, like a visual reading feed and a listening feed coming in at the same time. And that research has shown that that helps make information stick with people more effectively.
That is so. Oh, wow! I have so many questions. And if y'all have questions in the live chat, please drop those in with hashtag questions so that we can get John answering them, because this is so new. All right, we haven't experienced audio in Confluence like this. Also, he's used that word modal again. Sarah commenting, John, that this seems very intuitive, incredibly so.
Good.
Okay, so, I mean, this is just like a podcast of a page. Tell me, okay, so you've just summarized a meeting notes page, which is very convenient. What if I have a project where I have like the parent page and several pages or live docs under it, and I want kind of a summary of the whole thing? Can I do that?
Oh, that's really interesting. I will tell you the way that it works today, and I think a really good way for me to put this is just that this is our first foray into this area.
Okay.
We wanted to get something out to people so that people could use it and give us feedback. So if it's things like that where it's like, hey, I want to generate a briefing starting with a parent page and everything within it to be included, that's super cool, and we'd love to hear that kind of feedback so we know what to build next. But at a high level, the way that the briefings work today is that anything that is let's see, this isn't necessarily the best. Oh, okay, there's a link here. The way that it works is not only is it the text on the page that is captured into as part of the source for the briefing, it's also links to Confluence pages, live docs, and blogs. And if the page has permission, Loom recordings. So the fact that we have a whole Loom video, the transcript from that video is also being included into the source. So to me, what that means is like what I can do is I can't today go onto a parent page and say, generate a briefing of everything within this branch of my page tree. But what I can do is I can create a page, paste some links in there, and then all of a sudden I've created almost like my own source, like my own mini closed source of this is what I want my briefing to be about. And it's a multi-artifact thing there.
Right. Oh my God. And we are getting so many questions now based on what you said, John. So is this something we can use in mobile?
Such a good question.
That would be amazing.
So what I will say is that that is coming next. That is it's not ready yet. It's just on the web app, but we obviously understand that there's a really good opportunity there. I think maybe one thing I didn't mention earlier is, I have my AirPods in. I can play this, especially if I want to make a longer version of it. It can get up to about 10 minutes, and then I can go, do some chores. I can do the dishes. I can fold some laundry while I listen to the briefing about a page, as opposed to having to stare at my computer screen. But we realize that there's a lot of people, whether they're commuting, whether they're whatever, maybe they're on a walk with their dogs, like I might be. But you just either can't use your hands, you can't use your eyes, or you just don't want to. And so we think this is a really good opportunity for people that want to work while they're on the go. So long-winded way to say not yet, but that is coming.
John, you're describing a lot of, dare I say, multimodal experiences.
See, you're getting the hang of it.
See, I can do this too.
You're quick.
Such a good question. I think that was on the top of a lot of people's minds. John, does it work only with Confluence pages? Does it work with databases or whiteboards?
Yeah, right now it is pages and looms, basically. It's the simplest way I would
Pages
put
and
it.
looms. Okay.
Yeah, and just to let people know, like we're very open to where this could go in terms of the source information. I think like the logical next steps, I think, is exactly what people are talking about. Is it being able to summarize databases, whiteboards. Another thing we're actually interested in is exploring models that allow us to ingest images that are on the page as well, in case those could be interesting. But then getting into the other types of Atlassian content, like whether those are your Atlas projects and goals, whether that might be your Jira projects, it could be potentially feeds from Atlassian Home. We're considering, should we allow you to bring in third party, just like a random web page as well, and basically create your own combo of Atlassian content plus something that's public. So that's the thing. We're really early in this, and we're excited about all the potential. But again, I keep giving these long rambles, but basically, right now it's pages and looms that are on the page.
We like long rambles, John, because it means you're thinking about the same things we are, which is great. which feels good. I mean, just you mentioned briefly having it summarize images. I'm immediately like, oh my God, like let me drop a visualization on a page, and then let me I want an analysis. I want it to look at the thing and point out in the audio, hey, here's a chart looking at sales from the last quarter. Here are some trends that are very important to note. Like that'd be so amazing.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I'll jump in. I take that back. Don't go ahead.
Do it.
Because that's one of the use cases. I guess maybe I'll talk through some of the core use cases that we see for this. Like I've talked through like general directions, but one, I think that's really the specific target use case there is there a longer page that is full of dense information? And it could be something like that. Like maybe it is an analysis of, who knows, maybe it's sales trends, like you're saying. And this is only a 2-minute page. It does have the Loom link, but you see pages that get up to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and maybe there are multiple tables in there, and it's using jargon that's difficult to parse. So something like that, I think, is super interesting. And that's one of the reasons, to your point, like maybe there's a great chart on a page that would tell you a really interesting insight. So we'd love that to be able to be included in the source. I think, this is another one. Again, I'm highlighting it because I'm a big fan, but there's such a cool, again, I'll use one of those words, but synergy between if you have the Loom meeting notes capability turned on and you get the meeting notes automatically created, then you have the ability to automatically create a Confluence page of that. And then being able to listen to a briefing of it, to me, is just like, it's taking that feeling of missing a meeting and being like, I have so much work to catch up. I have to, get in touch with my team or read this long thing of notes. It can hopefully make it, like this, a 90-second experience where, just to be honest, I usually speed it up. So maybe it's more like a minute spent catching up. But I think one of the underrated things too is actually playing them on the work that you're creating, because I've found it really useful to see, are the core points that I'm trying to get across, is that what is coming through in the way that it's being interpreted by this LLM? So yeah, I guess it's one of those where I think like we're still learning exactly how people want to use this, but those are some of the ways internally so far that we think are cool and worthwhile.
So fascinating. And speaking of using it as a tool for what you're working on, a couple of people have asked, can you select a certain area and have it just summarize that certain area?
Not yet. That is the one that we talked about. Super interested in that, but not yet.
Okay. Yeah, Colin pointed out that ability to visually summarize things would be amazing for like wireframes or like if you're using Figma that you've dropped into a page, workflows. That would be really brilliant. Especially many of those things. If you're using a screen reader, if you're visually impaired, whatever, those things are very inaccessible types of media. And if there was a tool to describe what you're looking at, many of us are afraid of AI because we saw the Terminator. For those with disabilities, AI is opening up a whole new world
Yeah.
to them, and we
Yeah.
should not forget that. And features like this, it's like, oh my god, right? If you have a learning disability, you look at a giant doc or a giant page, and you're like, I have to read through this and pull out the important points. Like that's going to take me all day and several, anxiety attacks. I've been there,
Yeah.
right? And this is just like, there's so much I love about this. Another question,
Yeah.
John.
Go ahead.
So the sources tab, can we like use this with Zoom recordings? Like
Ooh.
where do you expect these sources are gonna go? What is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Great question. I think I don't want to just keep using the party line here, but this is early. I think like we see a ton of potential where this could go. Right now, when you can manually add sources, you can only add Confluence pages today. So not yet Loom links even. Getting into the weeds here, but there's something in terms of the different databases talking in terms of where Looms are stored versus where Confluence content is stored that we need to resolve in order to make Looms available to be manually added as well. But don't want to bore people too much with that. But basically, the way that it works is like, okay, wasn't planning this, but this would be a really good use case where let's say that I was gone for 2 weeks. Maybe I just got married and I was on my honeymoon, something like that. And I missed a few of these blog post review meetings. And thankfully, the meeting notes were being automatically created with AI. What I could do is I could go ahead and maybe start the briefing from this one, but paste in the links here from those other pages that were the AI recorded meeting notes. And all of a sudden, as opposed to having to, individually listen to briefings of, let's say, 4 meetings that I missed, I could add those other pages of meeting notes here. And then we have one briefing that combines all of the notes from those 4 meetings into a single briefing. So, again, hopefully listening to 90 seconds to catch up on a meeting isn't too bad. But if you do want to make it even faster and like combine the information, that's a way that you could do that.
That seems really ideal to me for situations where I've been away for 4 weeks because I just love Aruba, and I come back and I'm getting updates. I'm getting updates on a project that like we have a weekly update, and so it's going to be continuous updates on the same thing, right? So I could manually go through and listen to the briefing of each, but really I want a summary of all the stuff that's been done because I don't care when it was done. I just know that it is done or it is not done. So I think that would be so powerful. For those who are asking, they're asking how do we get Loom to create those meeting notes pages that John's mentioning? That is a feature that is part of the AI capabilities in Loom. And you need to have AI turned on in Confluence as well, I believe. We have an entire live stream with Isa and the other person whose name I can't remember. But we explored that feature fully. That's about AI-powered meeting notes. So you can check out that whole recording on our YouTube channel to learn more. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, y'all, if you have not subscribed to our newsletter, please do. We sent out a weekly newsletter all about Confluence best practices. Patricia just sent out a glorious newsletter article about what actually happens when you archive a page, which I'll be honest and say I learned some things there because I was like, what does happen to an archived page? Like seriously, do they just go off and die somewhere? Didn't know. I know now. Please subscribe. You will get some incredible Confluence content in your inbox every week. Tell your loved ones. It's fantastic stuff. I just heard,
Matt,
John,
do you mind if I, just since you were talking about the AI meeting notes from Loom, I know we were talking about this previously. I did confirm with Isa that you can configure where the meeting notes go now, where previously they would, just for, again, maybe this is too inside baseball here, but previously they would go just to your own personal space rather than the team space or the shared space that you're collaborating in. You can go into Loom now and configure they will go into the place of your choice, both the space and then the place within the page tree. So easier to find and use if you do have that on.
This is so amazing. There's a comment here. Someone said they love Loom and now they love Loom more based on what we shared here today. John, we've got to ask because we have to, because no stone unturned. Can we expect this to come to data center, John? Audio briefings in data center.
Oh, wow.
Will we have this new modality in data center, John?
I am not aware of any plans to roll this out into data center at the moment.
Right.
That doesn't mean that couldn't change, but it's not something that I'm aware of.
He's not aware of any plans, folks. Very specific question. Everybody buckle up if this is not your question. I think it's a pretty interesting one. John, is there the ability to summarize a particular Confluence page that is linked in a Jira issue and then populate the summary into a table that's shown on the summary report in Confluence? That is such a string of things, but it's using the summarization.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think you could parse that together in multiple steps, but I don't think we have like a one click. You can make those multiple leaps yet.
Yeah, that's almost giving Rovo agent to me, kind of. You're not going to get the audio portion of it. Maybe this brings up a different sort of question, John, which is, okay, maybe I've generated an audio briefing that I'm like, this slaps. Like, say less, this is exactly what I want to share with my team, my leaders, whatever. It just summarized my very complex Jira issue description perfectly, or Jira work item description perfectly, whatever. Can I share an audio briefing? Can I send this out to my 13 social followers? Like, what can I do with this? Or is it just for me?
So, in all honesty, one of the hardest parts of this project was all the things that we had to say no to, because there's so many cool ways to apply this technology. And I should give an enormous shout out to the engineering team that worked on this. The people that brainstormed, figured out how to connect all of the multiple parts. There's like multiple steps. There's multiple different calls to the LLMs that are happening. Like phenomenal, brilliant people. This was one of those things that we discussed and were super interested in. And frankly, there's a lot of questions in terms of the how. Like, would you send the briefing that's been generated? Would you share kind of what we were calling the recipe of, these are the sources that I have selected that I want to be used as the source here, and I could share that basis of a source, and that way we're factoring in, maybe I have different permissions than the person that I'm sharing it with. So it's something that we're super interested in. I think on it, like, again, I keep rambling. No, you cannot yet is the short answer. But I think what it would be so helpful for the team here is if you are able to put in, asks like this. We're looking for feedback around how people would want to use this. So that stuff is super helpful.
Okay. And we also just got a question on just getting the transcript of the audio would be really something. What John is starting to step into is actually a fever dream for some of you, perhaps on the on the live stream, because you work in data security, you are working in administration, and like already, the sharing of media, especially in different industries, is really a terrifying thing. It's a freaky thing. It's it opens you up for lawsuits, just many things. So permissions for some of us who are just creating stuff, that's just like, these are annoying, and I got to make sure the right people can see or hear things. But when you think about your organization, the industry that it's in, this stuff becomes like mission critical. And so, John, this is not something that John and team can just lightly turn on or off. There's so many considerations that need to be made here. By the way, I just threw a poll into the chat. I would love to know, just of the people here, would you use audio briefings? I'm just going to keep it open here for a minute. Currently, John, we're seeing 90% of the people here would, in fact, use audio briefings on the daily. So you need to convince the other 10%. I'm curious, John. I'm seeing this thing in the bottom right where it says labs. And then I have a question, like, when will this be available for everybody to try? What does labs mean?
Yeah, that is a really good question. So this audio briefings, oh well, that helps. The hover over is effective here. But what I would say is that this is our first foray into this concept of Confluence Labs, where we're, I think like everyone else, we are trying to figure out exactly how we do want to approach AI and rolling things out. And it's such an interesting line to try to walk, because on one hand, you don't want to miss out on all the fun things that are happening and sharing things, shipping things to all of our great users, and allowing them to try things out. But at the same time, we try to maintain a high quality bar here in terms of, we don't want to just overwhelm you with a bunch of releases. We don't want to overwhelm you with bad releases, especially. And so we're trying to find a way to, how would I put it? It's like, we want to let people know that this is experimental. This is something like, again, I'll use the word, this is a completely new modality. It's a completely new way of sharing information from Confluence. And so it's the type of thing we're never going to have 100% confidence in before we release it, because we've never done this before. And it's the fact that the LLMs are probabilistic. And, we went through a lot of rigorous testing beforehand to make sure, like, does this thing stay on track? There was pretty hilarious, some of the stuff that would happen while we were in the early stages. It just would like tell crazy jokes or like use weird personalities and things like that.
I was going to say, is there like a gossip mode where it's like, well, doesn't look like John's been doing much this week because his update on the project is...
Well, honestly, one time it got really snarky and I was like, wow, like that was kind of funny, but I'm a little offended. but yeah, long story short, it's one of those, it's a way to kind of let people know, like, hey, like, this is something, we're figuring it out. We want people to try it. We want people to give feedback on it. If it's going poorly, we may pull it out of the whole product, just because like, we don't want to just, again, like, ship a bunch of things that are going to stay within Confluence if they're not adding to the experience. So it's like an extended test run. But yeah.
I don't know, John. I don't think we've seen any instances where AI has gone off the rails recently.
Never.
No. Is there a way, John, that we can... oh, by the way, 82% of people, of the 40 respondents, said they would use audio briefings. 17%, they're not sold yet, John. Or maybe they're on data center. Where can we, like, I don't know, subscribe to labs or enable labs or learn about labs? Like, especially if I'm an admin and at enterprise and I'm like, are you just throwing labs out to my users? Can I turn them on or off? Can I enable them for some people? Or is it just coming out of your head straight to my local Confluence near me? Like,
yeah, this is one where let me get back to you on it, because just like the rest of the AI things, labs is new for us. And so we're figuring out exactly what is going to be the way to stay in touch with what's, I think people see, like, Google has their own labs. It's a way to kind of see what's on the forefront of what's being released and try things out. So we're figuring that out, and I'll keep you posted on
actually the counter of you using the phrase "our first foray," I think has hit 4 now. So there's a lot of new modalities for the team, I understand.
This is actually a drinking game that we constructed. Those are the words on the bingo card.
I'm not going to make it through this live stream, John, if we keep this up, because you also mentioned synergies. So I'm just like, oh God, I'm feeling it. I don't know if anybody else is feeling it on the other side. Okay, John, we've talked so much about audio briefings, which is so fantastic. I would love to talk more, but I feel like maybe we should show another AI experience in Confluence, because
we should.
There is so much more to show, but like amazing questions from everyone. Thank you so much. John, Rovo.
Rovo.
There's not enough ways to get to Rovo. I hear there's a new one. Could you show me, like, the team has added a new Rovo button to the Confluence experience, and I would really love for you to show us this because I didn't know. I just didn't know until you.
Honestly,
Like,
I didn't know
oh
which
my
way
God.
you even wanted me to show you because there's so many ways.
There are so many ways, but is this the best way? It's up to you at home to decide. But John, show me the Rovo button. What's going on?
Sounds good. So what we wanted to do here is we had a button previously that had our little, I think, our previous branding of Atlassian Intelligence as an entry point here in the bottom right corner of a page. But we have done a little facelift of how to quickly get into the Rovo experience. And so to Matt's point, there's the Rovo chat button up here, which eventually gets you to the same things, but it's a little bit different first step here. And if you do click on the Rovo button, you both have the ability to start chatting with Rovo immediately, but you also have some quick links here to help you if you want to summarize a page, summarize some changes. You can see there the cross-product capabilities that you could do there, but also start to get into agents and automation. So not a really just very lightweight entry point into starting to use AI from the page and in a lot of different ways.
Why, John? Why is it different? First of all, I love that your dogs are joining us. They sound so fun.
Yeah.
We would really love, I think basically everybody in the live chat is just put the dogs on for the rest of the time. We don't need AI experiences. Someone suggested they're very excited about Rovo. Also, somebody's wondering who let the dogs out. Wow, that is what a flashback to every animated movie created in the early 2000s. Also, what a foul song to have kids be so excited about. Why was that so popular? It's like a very disrespectful song. Oh my God. But seriously, John, why do we have another Rovo button? I see it's different. And to me, honestly, I'm this is cleaner and more I think it's more focused. Was this sort of an effort to focus on what do Confluence users want? I don't understand.
It's something across Atlassian that we did where what we want is to have an experience that's going to be more universal, where it's going to be more consistent in terms of how you find it, how you access it across all of the different Atlassian apps. And then as part of that, it's going to be contextual in terms of, what type of artifact am I looking at? And that should change what the options are here. So basically, we're trying to do a little bit of the thinking for you in terms of, I'm sure most of us use the LLMs of the world, the OpenAIs, the Anthropics, things like that. And you have that very open-ended, big chat interface. And we think that's great, but we're just trying to make it easier for people in terms of, hey, we think this is what you're most likely to do here. So let's just make it a one-click thing rather than you having to, instead of typing in, create Jira work items, I can just click that button since we think that's pretty likely is something you do here.
This is so. Is there any sense that the Rovo chat button is gonna go away? I know I'm just prying deeply into the the most difficult questions, but I'm just how many buttons is too many buttons, John?
I do not know of any plans to make the button go away. I think again, I think people know how this is going. We want people to use our AI functionality. I think one, because we think it's good and we think it's going to make your experience better. But two, we want people to use it so that we can learn. It's one of those where the more people use it, the more we can see what they do with it, what they do next. Does that affect the way they use Confluence or Jira overall? So we're trying to make it something that is a big part of the experience there.
I think it's really amazing that we have this tool now where we can just prompt it, right? We can ask for things, ask it to do things. And now we're just what do I ask it to do, right? So we need to create these experiences that are prompting you to prompt. Here's how to prompt. Here's a thing that might be useful to you, which that feels right to me. Somebody noticed that the option is to create. There's the studio option there to create an agent, and wonder if there's a video on the topic. At K15T, we have not made a video yet on creating agents. Do you know of a resource, John, about that? I'm sure Avi has done something at some point.
He's probably automated some video about it.
Right.
I don't know. I did not create it myself. I don't know. I'm the type. Oh, it opened up a new window I was going to show people. But I just like to poke around usually and just see what I can figure out by playing with it myself. So that's what I've done in the past.
Okay. All right. Rovo button. We have one more. And y'all, if you are using Rovo at work and you haven't tried it yet, I would recommend the Rovo Chrome extension, which is a very interesting way to interact with Chrome on your new tab page. It like totally takes over the new tab page. You can now type Rovo into the Omnibar in Chrome and then start. John wants to show it, but he's only sharing his tab, so he can't actually. Sorry, John.
Oh, no.
But yeah, you can do full-on searches and interact with Rovo right in Chrome, which really like brings Rovo out of Confluence or whatever tool you're using and into just sort of your daily work. This is why I'm joking about another Rovo button, because there are so many ways to access Rovo, and just trying to figure it out. Speaking of, we haven't gotten any new questions, so I'm going to ask you a question. Deep research, John, that was just added to, I believe it's in the Rovo chat button area. What is deep research, and who would use that? What is that for? How is that different than, your typical Rovo experience?
Yeah. So this is something where for the people that have a bigger, more complex question that they're trying to answer, we think this is a really good place for people to get a more nuanced answer to a topic. Where I think normally if you're chatting, you might just say something like, this will be a dumb example, but it's like, hey, give me a summary, whatever, of a certain page, something like that. But if you're like, help me take all the information that you know about audio briefings and help me create a go-to-market campaign based on that information that really targets enterprise customers or something like that. The fun stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be a little robust for just a simple initial chat with Rovo. But if you do click deep research when you put in that type of prompt, the cool thing to me of what happens there is not only will it go ahead and perform that, but it'll also ask you questions where it'll find opportunities where it feels like it doesn't have enough information, and it'll ask you questions to clarify if necessary, to help you like get a more accurate answer for what your actual intention is.
Again, prompt the tool that we prompt is prompting us for more information, which I think is so interesting. This is I almost used the word absurd. This is stellar. I can't wait to use this. I'm curious, John, is this using information from the internet or just from your Confluence? Do you know, how does that work?
Yeah, right now it's just from your Confluence is the way that it's working. Again, I don't know exactly where we're at in terms of being able to access the public information and incorporate it in. That's something I know is being looked at and evaluated. My understanding is right now it's just going to be from all of your content within Confluence. But I will say too, though, that we have trained Rovo on general information. So I think an example we might have used in the past is like, hey, Rovo, tell me how to take care of I think we said a hippopotamus or something like that. And so I didn't have any content about training and raising a hippopotamus, but because Rovo has been trained on information across the internet, even if it's not within, even if you don't have the content within your Atlassian environment, there's still reference points that it'll be able to help you out with there too.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. Hippo enrichment was one of my favorite things that it recommended in that particular situation.
That's right.
And the other great thing being trained on that is, if you ask Rovo, hey, I need this report and I need it formatted in, as a strengths and weaknesses assessment, or give it some kind of format, it's aware of that format, right? So it's going to format the content that way. Also, you don't want to just open it to the open internet because, again, permissions, they're tricky.
Right.
You got to figure that out. Speaking of, I'm going to drop it in one more time. Y'all, if you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, you can learn what happens to pages when they're archived. Speaking of permissions and other things, they are preserved. I just learned. Permissions stay around. Please subscribe and learn about Confluence along with us. Also, we are 45 minutes in, y'all. That means it's snack time. I don't know if you're getting any ASMR goodness from this wrapper. This is for the 10% of you that enjoy that sensation. If you have a snack, time to grab one. John, I have a question from Carl, who's wondering, what Rovo agent do you use most of the time? What's the one that what's your go-to Rovo agent? Or is it one that you've made?
I am very particular. So I've explored other people's agents, but and maybe that's just a quick demo that's helpful too. If I'm here, I go to browse agents. What I can do is, I can type in, maybe there's something to help me with decisions. And look at that from Jisha. That's great. So there are really helpful ones, especially if you're just looking for quick help. And either the process of creating an agent is unfamiliar, or you just want to dive in and leverage something that's already working. But the one that I like to use is, I've created a couple agents that simulate the feedback of certain people within our product org at Atlassian, where for people not familiar with the way things work, for a product manager, you usually have to go through a lot of different reviews. I think especially with AI, given people have so much interest, and to the points that Matt's been making, there's a lot of sensitivity around it. So it's one of those where, with those reviews, the way it classically would work is like, hey, I created this page, I'm going to present it, and let's hear what these people think. And you might get feedback beforehand, but what's really nice is speeding up that feedback loop with this, where I've created agents. I'm in a demo account, so I don't. Oh, look at that! I did create one here. Yes. Look at me. So here's one where I created, where it's a head of product feedback simulator, where I put in certain criteria of one, just in general. Again, Rovo has this context that's just kind of general context around how the world works, and told it, pretend that you're the head of product for Confluence, and you're going to be giving feedback on the page that I introduced. But you start to learn the people that you work with over time, and I've learned certain things that are important to the people that I'm trying to simulate the feedback of. And so I'll put in specific things to make sure that I've incorporated into the work. So overall, I think that's one thing that's helped me a lot, is anticipating feedback in those reviews from certain people, and I can just run this agent on it, and it'll give me a rating. It'll give me certain action items that I could do to either make it clearer or make sure that I have the information that they're going to be asking for.
I just want to know what kind of prompts you put into that agent to be like, yeah, so Jefferson is a bit overly critical and he is obsessed with blah, blah, blah. So like, that's how he would respond. Like, and then Emily can only think of whiteboards. So make sure I mention whiteboards at least once. Otherwise I'm going to get a thumbs down. Like I think the prompt would be interesting. I want to know how judgmental you got with the prompt over the heads of product that you have worked with in the past. I love that.
Oh, that's the most fun part. A little fun tidbit is I don't know his exact title, but I want to say he's our SVP of Global Product, Sanchin. He loves audio, and one of his things that he loves to use is he uses the AI tools where you can create music, like create songs with lyrics. And so that's kind of a fun wrinkle. And I'll put into his feedback simulator, like, hey, is there a way that this could lead to, song lyrics, just it's honestly for my own amusement. But, it's fun. You learn these people over time, and it's fun to like put those little personality details in there so that it feels a little bit more a little bit more human, which, unto itself is kind of a weird thing, but here we are.
This is fascinating. So, like, if you're using this agent, what do you find that just when you send stuff off to the actual like product owners and such, that they're, you're just getting better, you're getting less critique and feedback from them because it's like, well, they've already seen it, essentially.
In a way, I think what it leads to is more productive conversations, where it's like you never know what's going to be in their head. They're always going to have more information than you do. They're going to have different contexts than you're thinking about. But I think that ability to make sure that you have the fundamentals right, of like, hey, have I checked the basic boxes of, is it very clear the customer problem that this is going to help solve? Am I using language that is clear and plain and concise rather than overly flowery type of thing? Just things that I know for those people where it's like, hey, these are baseline expectations. If I can nail those, then I can really start to get into like trying to anticipate things that might be unique for this case. But it's not like the reviews always go flawlessly. It's just still a lot of negotiation and trying to figure things out live with the people in the room. But it definitely, I think like the way that I've heard it put is it speeds up that feedback loop and allows you to not have to wait for those moments where your collaborators are ready. And so once the actual collaboration happens, it's more productive.
That is so fascinating. I love this so much. John, the /AI command in the Confluence editor.
Yeah.
Anytime I'm on a page or a live doc, I can just hit / command and type AI, and I am typing to an AI. Is this like, is this Rovo? What is this what is this like when I do this? Because I'm seeing actions. So it looks like it's Rovo-y, but it's not called Rovo. What is this? Can you help us with this? Because it seems very helpful.
Yeah. In general, I refer to everything in my head as Rovo. I think it's being powered by the same set of calls and pipelines here. At the moment, you could see, when I did type in, it shows AI Atlassian Intelligence. It doesn't say Rovo here, but I think for all intents and purposes, you can think of it as being Rovo. Yeah.
And can I call my product owner agent right from here?
You sure can. So let's say that I do call AI here. You can see some of the things that do pop up here. I'll show a few more since I think there's some really interesting ones. I think there's the classic ones. It's funny, the new classics that I think we're starting to see across a lot of different products. Things like you can change the tone, you can summarize the writing, make it shorter, make it longer, things like that. And I think that's fantastic. I think some of the other actions that are really useful is translation is one, just a whole area that I'm fascinated by. Yeah. Both for written communication, but also for audio. Little teaser there. Keep your eyes out for something there potentially. But also things like this, like, hey, let's find action items, where, the Loom meeting notes are fantastic and it's already done it for me, but maybe I'm in a page where that hasn't been done yet and we can parse out the action items really well. So that's another one that I think is really useful. But to your question, yes, I don't need to, click into here and, boom, 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 make a number of clicks. If I wanted to, I could just say /AI and I could go straight to my head of product feedback simulator. So it's, I think to your question earlier too, it's like, how should I access Rovo? How should I access AI? We are trying to give a lot of different ways for you to access it. And I think the goal there is just people use Confluence, use the Atlassian apps in a lot of different ways. And some people like the / commands the best. Some people just want to click a button. So trying to make it available everywhere.
I love this. And you just gave us a little bit of a hint of what's coming. And we have a couple more minutes. And John, I would love to know what's coming. Like audio briefings.
Yeah.
What else are we going to see with audio briefings? I know you mentioned mobile support is kind of like top of mind. Anything else?
I think that the main two things that I can call out, since they're being actively worked on. It is that we want to add support to the mobile app, and that we are exploring, we're doing some testing with translations, because right now with the briefings, they're only available in English to start. Again, experimental, it's a labs thing, but we understand we have a very international customer and user base. So we're looking into making it so that the briefing would automatically play in the desired language. So be on the lookout for that with audio briefings. And then there's a lot of stuff we want to get into. I think we're still figuring out the bigger next steps here, but many things are happening in the AI world. I don't know how much you want to get into it.
I think additional languages would be fantastic. I actually, when we had Isa join and talking about Loom and AI-powered meeting notes, we also had the question, are these available in other languages, right, when it creates the page? And currently, or at least at that point, no, but the team was looking at that as well. That would be so fantastic. I really think, like, kind of phenomenal to be able to get a summary of a page that's not in your native language, listen to it in your native, listen to a summary of it, a briefing of it, I should say, in your native language. I think that is really, really exciting. Are there plans to do any other sort of audio things in Confluence, maybe?
Yeah, some of the things that I will tease here. One is that people may have noticed that we jumped straight to briefings, of finding a way to summarize, synthesize, and play kind of a condensed version of the content that's being explored. But we skipped past simple narration. And I think to your point on accessibility in terms of flexibility of learning, that's another area that we're looking more back into. We didn't forget about just, hey, it's really nice to just have a native narration tool. So that's something that we're checking out and we're really excited about. I think one of the tricky parts is like, what do you do when you have a table of information? How do you want to narrate that? Do you want to narrate every single column? So there's some nuance there that we're exploring, but we're checking that out. And then we're also starting to look more into audio as an input. So if that's something that people are interested in, whether it's more for, maybe you just like to talk instead of type because you need to, or because you prefer to, or you don't feel like it. That's something that we're looking into. And again, we're exploring both like the one-to-one natural, I think I always get dictation and transcription confused, but I think it's transcription. But also, like, is there a way, is it useful for people where I can speak an idea and it ends up being both, what's the word, like summarized and inferred what the meaning is from AI, and then an output comes out of that. So almost like smart creation with voice, but also like literal one-to-one creation with voice.
Yeah. Yes, I do like to talk more than I like to type, obviously. Yes, John, please, please, please. All right, everybody. We are at that time where I need to wrap this up. Once again, I'm going to say, if you have not signed up for the K15T newsletter, I would really recommend it. It's coming out every week. It's pretty fantastic. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all sorts of fantastic Confluence content. John, thank you so much for joining us and sharing about so many new AI experiences coming to Confluence that are already in Confluence. This has been really phenomenal.
Awesome. Always a pleasure. Hope people enjoy the new features we're releasing, but please, we would love all the feedback, all the ideas that you can send us. It's super helpful.
Fantastic, fantastic. Also, special shout out to John's dogs and his robot vacuum for joining us as well. The audio has been fantastic. It's really introduced a whole new modality to the live stream. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This has been a fantastic time. We are obsessed with learning how to use Confluence to let you do the thing you actually care about. So please do like and subscribe and join us for another video or a live stream as we continue to explore how to use Confluence to share what you do best. Bye, everybody.